Renewable energy accounted for over 74% of all of the generating capacity installed on the grid in 2022, and it's set to triple in 2023. Two winter storms happened in Texas this year with very mixed reviews for renewable energy in that state, and product innovations continue to change the face of solar. Well, I'm Jay Warmke with Blue Rock Station, and this is the news of the solar industry for the week of February 13th. Now, a recent report by FERC, which is the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, has indicated that about 74.1% of all of the new generating capacity installed on the grid in the United States last year came from renewable energy. Now, of that total, 39.6% was from solar, 33.9% was from wind. Now, that compares with only about 25% from natural gas. There was a small amount of geothermal, biomass, hydro that was added to the grid that accounts for the full amount of renewable energy. There was no coal-powered plants or no nuclear energy that was added to the grid in 2022. Now, currently, renewable energy accounts for about 27.3% of the grid's capacity, with wind being about 11.4%, solar about 6.4%, and hydro is about 9%. Now, as we look forward, EIA, the Energy Information Administration of the government, based on applications for new generating capacity that have been filed, indicate they anticipate about 3 times as much solar being installed in 2023 as occurred in 2022, which was a pretty good year. A lot of this is due to delays due to supply chain interconnection. So there's a bit of pent-up demand they think is going to run through the pipeline in 2023. Now, this will represent about 54% of all of the new generating capacity for 2023. And in second place is batteries. Now, batteries will account, according to the EIA, for about 17% of all the new generating capacity. Wind will be about 11%. Now, FERC has indicated with high probability, in quotes, high probability. They've never been all that good at predicting. They're usually on the low side for renewable energy. But they anticipate that solar will double in installed capacity in the U.S. over the next 3 years, with about 75 gigawatts of installed new solar over those 3 years. Now, this compares with natural gas, which will fall off to just about half a gigawatt over that same time period. By the end of 2025, they anticipate renewables will make up about 33% of the grid's generating capacity. Now, about 40% of all of the new solar that's installed are going to be in the states of Texas and California. Now, surprisingly, the Midwest is going to see a lot of utility scale installation of solar, with Ohio coming in third with in renewable solar, and Indiana coming in fifth, just behind Nevada. Texas this year faced 2 major winter storms. Now, as you'll recall, a few years ago, there was a large power outage, and a lot of the media tried to blame all of this on wind power, that wind turbines were freezing up, solar wasn't generating. Turned out that wasn't really the case, but ever since, the politicization of wind and solar in Texas continues. Now, when the winter storm came just before Christmas of last year, demand soared about 35% above a typical day. There were large power outages once again, although wind and solar performed much, much better than anticipated, in fact, better than their nameplate capacity, because this was essentially very cold temperatures with a lot of wind. A lot of the coal and natural gas capacity froze up because of the steam and the moisture that builds up in the pipes, and they're not very well weatherproof down there. So, of course, the renewable energy jumped up and down, citing vindication that renewables is quite good in cold weather. But then again, then comes along a storm February 1st. Now, this was a little bit different, a lot of freezing rain. And so what happened is the solar and the wind capacity just plummeted. In fact, some of those advocates for fossil fuels then start tweeted out, and they were right in saying that wind and solar did not perform well in this particular instance, and saying that it's not an option. So we see that when it works, everybody says solar's good, and when it doesn't work, they're all claiming it's bad. The reality is that it is a good source most of the time, as is fossil fuels, as wind. All right, there are continued innovations in the renewable energy field. One product just coming out from Sunzan, I should say, are vertical solar panels or vertical solar installations. Now, they claim that this will be quite good for agricultural use. It will protect some of the crops from wind damage, also from UV stress. It's got a very low footprint, very small footprint, so you can put these along fences, and they can serve as fences along roadways, along railways. So there are a lot of applications. What they don't try and promote so much on their website is that because they are vertically oriented, they will produce quite a bit less power than a traditionally angled solar array. And another new innovation in solar from BD2 Storage Solutions is they're beginning to utilize old battery packs from EVs, from electric vehicles, as grid storage capacity. Now, they are running a 25 megawatt hour system out in Lancaster, California, using about 1,300 recycled Honda and Nissan EV battery packs. Now, this began operation in 2020, and for example, last year, 2022, they were able to sell about $1 million worth of power to the grid. And that's the news from the solar industry for this week. We'll see you next week.